welcome back to Books and I am Raquel, and I'm so happy for you to be here. So, I'm doing something a little different. I wanted to do a series on book genres, mainly because I do a part-time job at a bookstore, and a lot of times when I'm talking to customers, they tend not to have the vocabulary or the full necessary understanding of the types of books that they're reading, so that way it's easier to compare. So, for example, if I ask if you like fiction, people are like, oh yeah, I like fiction. I was like, okay, so what specifically of fiction? Are we liking mystery? Do we like fantasy? Do we like contemporary fiction? Do we like urban fiction? Do we like things like that? So I thought I would try to do a monthly series where I do one video a month about the different types of genres in books. So we'll just start with the very first one since this is episode 1. Welcome to my episode about genres. So, a genre. What is this? We all have a good idea or a good understanding of what a genre is. Genres are like different shades of color. Each one brings its own mood, tone, and style, blending together to create a unique picture with every story. Some are bold and bright, while others are subtle and soft, and some may even be downright creepy. But all of them come together to create a rich and vibrant experience, just like a painting. The genre set the backdrop. Just like paintings, genre set the backdrop for the emotions, the themes, and journey that you experience through the pages. So let's break down one of the most iconic ones, the one that when we think of books, most likely a book that falls under this umbrella. I'm talking about fiction. Stories that come from the imagination. This also may be a book that you were probably forced to read or was assigned to read. It's most common, most people have read a fiction book. One big book that most people have been in contact with, at least in the United States, I don't know about other countries, but let's start with fiction. A genre all of us have been in contact, whether it's been a book assignment from a teacher or it's maybe your favorite genre. Fiction is a big umbrella. And a lot of people like to put a lot of our other books under this genre, but be sure to know fiction is a book of imagination. This is usually, it can sometimes be based on some historical moment, but a lot of times people who have used an historical moment take it and run with it. So you can't always use it as an actual factual piece of evidence. But it's a book it's a book genre where people let their imagination run wild. And it also is a place where people can sometimes use it as a way to get their political views across in a way that's captivating and easier for people to consume and understand. So, one of our big well-known books that we know that's come from this mythical place of imagination that is maybe on the heavier side would be To Kill a Mockingbird. This book is about the injustice and racial divide that happens in the South. And you follow a little girl as she tries to navigate the rights and wrong and understanding that just because everyone else says it's okay doesn't necessarily mean it is. It's a great book. If you haven't read it, I highly recommend it. If you're not a reader, there's a movie, and it is a good movie, so check it out. And there's been a lot of plays adaptations of it as well. I definitely recommend it. Yeah, To Kill a Mockingbird. Now, let's get into the hard and tough ones, the non-fiction ones. So fiction is about imagination. Non-fiction are books that share true stories in real information. This is also a big umbrella like fiction is. There's a lot of other genres that fall under this umbrella. So those two you can think of as the two main ideas. You have fiction, the imagination that runs wild. Then you have the nonfiction, where you are taught and you learn. Not that you can't be taught and learn from fiction, but it's maybe not as easy to transfer over as skills that you can learn from a nonfiction book. A big book under this would be The Sapiens. It's a brief history of humankind. It's a fascinating look at how we went from caveman to smartphones. It would probably help you if you ever want to have a deep conversations about why we are the way we are, how we came to be the way you are. But maybe don't forget to add in a little bit of fiction into it. So that way you can add a little spice. Or a little bit more vibrant colors. Don't be the know-it-all in the party. Then we come to probably my third favorite genre, mystery. This is gonna fall under our fiction section. Once again, it's a tale of imagination. It's a tale of crime, secrets, and solving the unknown. One of the main, well, I wouldn't say main, but a big book under this is The Girl with a Dragon Tattoo. I remember when I was little when the movie came out, and it was a big talk about it. It's a gripping puzzle of intrigue, danger, and darker secrets. You'll never look at your neighbor the same way again. So give it a shot if you are interested in it. Alright, now we have the section that almost everyone loves, pun intended, romance. It's the genre of heartfelt stories of love and relationships. These are the ones that people usually literally fall in love with, or to use it as a way to help navigate their own thoughts about love. A big book in this series is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. It's a timeless romance that challenges class, love, and social expectations. It's like watching your favorite couple have 1,000 misunderstandings before they get it right. Next is my second favorite genre, which is science fiction. This one adventures into futuristic technology, otherworldly ideas. Think space, think robots, think parallel universes, think things that science can't understand or explain yet. Think of devastation of what the future may hold for you that isn't here yet. Think Doom. A cosmic journey filled with politics, prophecies, and desert planets. Think space meets sand, and it's a way cooler than it sounds. And think Timothy Chalamet, or in Zendaya, from the actual movies that they've remade, I believe, for the second or third time. If you're not interested in reading the story, but that's a big title in the science fiction community. Here is my favorite one. I'm very biased, but I want you to go, hear me out, because fantasy is not for everyone. So let's close our eyes, and I want you to think of dragons. I want you to think of fairies, elves, witches, warlocks, ogres, werewolves, vampires. Are you with me? Great, I hope you are, because it's my favorite. Fantasy is magical realms and legendary creatures that spark the imagination. One big one that almost everyone has heard of, if you haven't, I'm really concerned for you, would be Harry Potter. A young wizard journeys into a world of magic and mystery. And if you don't want to hop on a broomstick and play a game of Quidditch, you might need to look at yourself in the mirror. Okay, now this one might throw you for a moment, because I just said nonfiction would be something that is true, but don't let historical fiction fool you. We're still in the make-believe. These stories usually transport you to different times and places in history. Like I said earlier, fiction can be based off of real-life events that inspired you to let your imagination run wild. One book that really captivates this would be All the Light We Cannot See It's a beautifully woven tale set during World War II. It's a time traveling without leaving your couch. Does time traveling actually exist? I don't know. It could be, and we just don't know. But for right now, we're saying it doesn't, and it hasn't happened yet. At least to our knowledge, it hasn't. So, time traveling to World War II would be something that we would create in our imagination. Therefore, historical fiction could be just your imagination while running wild. Say, if me, myself, and I was transported to World War II, I'd probably die real quick because I am not a fighter. I'm not a lover either, but I'm not a fighter. But yeah. Now, this one is maybe my fourth favorite genre. Sometimes it's touch and go. Sometimes it's touch and go because I am a scaredy cat and I very easily get spooked. But thriller. These are the grippings, really tight. It's very suspenseful. You're usually on the edge of your seat, and it's usually fast paced, one after another. It can be slow paced, but if it's slow paced, it's very thought provoking. Suspense is the key element of this genre. And pulling along. Maybe occasional jump scares. Which, yes, you can have jump scares in books. It just depends on how the writer writes. One very good book about this, well, I don't know about good book, but one that I would recommend checking out is Gone Girl. A chilling, twisted look at a marriage gone wrong. If you're not on the edge of your seats, are you reading it right? Are you actually taking the time to digest what you're reading? If you're not, you might be immune to things that I have no idea. We are not made the same. And it could be I get caught up in my mind way too easily. Alright. This genre is not really one to smile about, and actually one that I usually try to avoid. Horror. Spooky, eerie tales that send chills down your spine, that make you scared to have all the lights off, that makes you scared to be alone in the dark by yourself, or anything can come get you. But if I say horror, who comes to mind? If you didn't say Stephen King, I have no idea who you are. But Stephen King's Shining is a particular one that people still to this day, either reading the book or if they're strong enough to read the book, because the book always has more details, or sitting through and watching the movie, this is still a haunting tale in an isolated hotel where fear has a mind of its own. Just remember, lock your doors. Alright, let's get into the nonfiction ones a little bit, shall we? We have biography and autobiographies. These are real stories of people who shape the world in some way or another. A lot of them are usually pretty famous people. I don't know very many non-famous people who have a biography that you would want to read or pick up. But I'm sure there are a few. But usually this is a story about people who've made an impact on the world and the world around them. The Diary of a Young Girl by Anne Frank is one that still captivates a lot of people. It's a personal account of life in hiding during World War II. It's real, it's raw, and it's unforgettable. And if you haven't read it, I highly recommend reading it. You won't walk away from that book viewing the world in the same light. At least I didn't. But yeah, my heart still breaks when I remember about Anne Frank. So if your heart's broken after you've read Anne Frank and you need help trying to put it back together, self-help books would be your next one. These are books, kind of like just the title says, that offer advice or help on improving your life. It can also help you cultivate new habits and maybe change your mindset. One really popular one that still gets talked about or passed around, and it's often on a lot of people's to read list, TBR, to be read list, would be the 7 habits of highly effective people. Because what because who doesn't need a little advice on becoming a superhero? Although some people are already superheroes all on their own. Alright, we're gonna go back to fiction real quick. We're almost there, guys. We have poetry. Poetries or emotion in stories that convey through verses. The Sun and Her Flowers, a collection of poems that explore themes of growth, love, and healing. It's like taking your heart on a roller coaster, and you'll love every minute of it. Then you also have what I like to call YA, young adult, which are engaging stories for teens full of people who are on their own personal journey of self-discovery and adventure. A big one would be The Hunger Games, a dystopia survival story where teens battle for their lives. If this doesn't make you wish for a tribute expert, nothing will. Then the last genre I'm going to touch on would be child books. Imaginative tales written especially for young readers. These are usually books that are geared to helping create empathy, to help young children learn thought process, understanding emotions. They cover a wide range and start from the first few words all the way to understanding the different changes that are going to take place in their life as they get older. One of my favorite ones is Where the Wild Where the Wild Things Grow. Oh, that's not right. Where the Wild Things Are. It's a delightful journey of world of imagination. Just don't get any wild ideas yourself. They also made a movie of that one too. All the best books usually do. Next time I'm here, we're going to a deeper dive of one genre as I list out the subgenres. Tell me below, what's your favorite genre? Is there a genre I missed? What's your favorite book that within the genre? Let me know. Thank you so much for watching, and I am having the hardest time talking, guys, but thank you for being here for this. I really appreciate everything you do for my channel. Remember, I can't do anything without you. Bye.